地球资源是有限的，对有限的资源进行无限的开发，地球将不堪重负。珍惜地球资源，转变发展方式，要靠我们每一个人的力量。
Meat's not green. We know you're concerned about the planet and its inhabitants. You want to help stop global warming. But what can you do to make a difference, besides change some light bulbs? What really is the #1 cause of global warming? People who don't recycle? Nope. Too many cars? Nope. Planes? How about that steak on your plate? According to the United Nations, raising animals for food causes more greenhouse gas emissions than all the cars, planes, ships, and trains in the world combined. Land degradation, climate change, pollution, water shortages, habitat destruction, these are not inevitable forces. The change is easy. All we have to do is tell everyone we know that meat's not green. Animals raised for meat, eggs, and milk create enormous amounts of greenhouse gas emissions that cause global warming. Chickens, turkeys, pigs, and cows on factory farms generate billions of pounds of drug-laced feces every year. This waste frequently spills over into nearby waterways, killing millions of fish and causing dangerous effects. Eating meat is far less efficient than eating plants. It can take up to 16 pounds of grain to produce just 1 pound of meat. And because of the need to grow so much grain to feed farmed animals, millions of acres of native habitat are destroyed and replaced with a single crop.
联合国粮农组织的报告指出，畜牧业是气候变化的最大元凶之一。减少畜牧业对环境的威胁是环境政策重要的焦点之一。20%的全球温室气体排放来自畜牧业，比全世界所有车辆、船只、飞机和火车的总排放量还要多。畜牧业排放的甲烷比汽车等交通工具的排放还多23倍。畜牧业排放的氧化亚氮比汽车等交通工具的排放还多296倍。氨会造成酸雨，使生态环境酸化，几乎2/3的氨排放来自于牲畜。
Save our planet. Livestock generates over half of worldwide greenhouse gas emissions. A just-released report in the November-December issue of World Watch magazine has concluded that livestock raising is responsible for at least 51% of global warming. Authors Dr. Robert Goodland, former lead environmental advisor to the World Bank, and World Bank research officer Jeff Arnhung built upon livestock's long shadow. The report, published in 2006 by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, or FAO.
They calculated for areas not previously considered and updated others, including the life cycle emissions of farmed fish production, CO2 from animal respirations, and an actual corrected tally that resulted in a more than doubling of the reported number of livestock animals on the planet. Livestock's methane emissions were also factored in as being 72 times more heat trapping in the atmosphere than CO2. This represents a more accurate increase from the original FAO calculations of 23 times the warming potential.
Even so, the researchers cautioned that the sum of their estimates was minimized, and therefore the 51% emissions total is still conservative. In a question and answer article on the website vegclimatealliance.org, the authors concluded, it is now possible to understand that the dramatic expansion of the livestock sector in recent decades may imperil humanity, and that there may be no way to manage the climate risk of either the food industry or the world at large, other than by replacing livestock products with better alternatives.
Our thankful appreciation, Dr. Goodland and Mr. Anhang, participating scientists and World Watch Institute, for your work showing that meat consumption is clearly the single largest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. Let us ever more swiftly replace animal products with their planet-cooling veg alternatives to preserve our ecosphere and all lives.
Unless we change our food choices, nothing else matters, because it is meat that is destroying most of our forests. It's meat that pollutes the waters. It is meat that is creating disease, which leads to all our money being diverted to hospitals. So it's the first choice for any.
We are at the stage where The issue which has long been talked about in the corridors and in the back rooms, but never frontally as an important item in public policy, has now come to the fore, is now very much on the tables of governments and the United Nations system.
A report released by the United Nations Environment Programme stated that a global shift towards a vegan diet is necessary to avoid the worst impacts of climate change.
Production of livestock, in particular meat products, is an enormously intense one in terms of consumption of resources. Therefore, the panel is saying that yes, let us change our lifestyles, and reducing meat consumption is part of the solution in a world with soon 9 billion people.
The report as presented to world policymakers urges strict measures to avoid devastating consequences.
Both emissions and land use depend strongly on diets. Animal products, both meat and dairy, in general require more resources and cause higher emissions than plant-based alternatives.
More than fossil fuels, agricultural activities directly influence ecosystems by occupying large land areas and using huge quantities of water.
Animal products are important because more than half of the world's crops are used to feed animals, not people. Findings conclude with the following statement.
A substantial reduction of impacts would only be possible with a substantial worldwide diet change away from animal products.
This is the time now for reports such as this to help the analysis and the decision making of governments and entities everywhere.
Experts say that eating less meat will also minimize our impact on the environment and help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The message is clear. Climate change is about our health and the health of our planet. We are all in this together.
The United Nations has spoken.
Be veg, go green to save the planet.